Hi, I'm Bowling Otter.
And I'm Lizzie Sandwich.
And welcome to
The BS on the Internet.
Well, it's been another one of those weeks.
Has it been
This time it
a
has.
week?
This time.
I know, not all the time.
Not all the time.
But now?
Sometimes we record this and it hasn't actually been a week.
I know. Yeah. Well, you know what? This time I had this week's BSOI done by Tuesday.
Yes.
I had all my articles just woo.
Yeah, we've been waiting all week to talk about a lot of this stuff.
We are but it always seems to happen on the weekend, the beginning of the week, Monday, Tuesday.
Then right after we record, something happens and we just recorded the episode.
I know. What happened last night? This happened last week too. Last night, Eminem just released an album at midnight. We're laying in bed, getting ready to go to sleep, and found out Eminem released an album, which we haven't heard. If you've heard it yet, put it in the comments. Let me know if it's good. We're going to try and listen to it this weekend for sure.
Yes, we'd really like that.
That's one of those drop everything and you listen to what he's doing. Respect. But we have a lot to get to. A lot of things kind of like last week that are up in the air. We don't know.
A lot of pretty heavy issues to talk about.
Yeah, another one of those heavy weeks. And I love, engaging with you guys and talking to you guys in the comments. And you guys are always so nice and respectful and everything, with a few exceptions, of course. But, you guys always, I like how we debate. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Everybody's very kind. Everybody's very respectful. You can agree to disagree or whatever, but I do like the dialogue because at the end of the day, we are a big family.
Yeah, we're not trying to only talk to people who agree with us.
Yeah, of course. So. Yes, that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you kind of form your well-rounded opinion.
That's how you learn. We learn, you learn, everybody learns.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So with that being said, woo! So if you have been living under a rock, there was a Madden tournament last weekend in Jacksonville, Florida, and there was a shooting.
There was a shooting.
Where 2 people were killed, 11 people injured, and, it happened again. And I don't know about you guys, I am so drained from this. It's like I have nothing left. It's just it went from outrage and anger to again, it's beating a dead horse.
It's fatiguing. It's definitely one of those things where there's been a shooting. It's oh God.
I know.
It's been another shooting.
I feel for all of us, it's a matter of when. We get touched by it in some way. As soon as you get over thinking about the last one, there's another one. And it's, you think about the other ones, of course, but as soon as they're done being fresh in your mind, then there's another one to be fresh in your mind. Well, what was interesting about this particular one is that the shooter in this case competed in this tournament and lost. And there's been a lot of things coming out during the week about this particular guy. I am not going to say his name. I am one of those people that firmly believes that you should not, give them the credit of saying their name. But he was ill and had a long, lengthy history of mental illness where he was taking antipsychotic drugs. His parents went through a divorce. He had a hard time with it. He was using games to escape. The police were called out to his house 26 times.
Yeah.
He was hospitalized a handful of times. So this was somebody who was having trouble.
Yes, clearly,
and, for sure. And,
for a long time, too. It wasn't a short-term thing.
Right. However, he legally bought a gun.
Yeah.
And was able to get it in there somehow. And what bothers me a lot about these shootings is that they're politicized so fast. And it was still an active scene, and people on Twitter was nuts when this was going on.
Social media was crazy,
and people were politicizing it, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh! But my concern is, and you could say this is, political or whatever, but how he got a gun. And, where I think I said this on Twitter, where we just have to vote. We just have to, educate ourselves in it, learn about these things, learn about gun ownership, learn about the people who buy guns, and study it. I just want to study it and see what we could find out, to see if we could find a solution, because I think we could all agree that this isn't working. No matter where you stand on this issue, it's not working. But it brings up another really interesting point to another article that we found, or that I found, on ESPN, titled mental health issues remain pervasive problem in esports scene. So I was like, wow, that's really interesting, because if you think about it, if there's and esports are taking off.
Yes.
There was
They're exploding right now.
Yes, they're saying here
becoming a very big thing very quickly.
I know, it's unbelievable. Being that esports are taking off as fast as they are, it doesn't give the competitor or the player enough time to adjust to being thrown into this competition in front of millions of people. And like, for example, if you become a professional basketball player, chances are you grew up and you were young and you grew up playing just like gamers are, but you get used to the scene, you get used to the game, you get used to being performing in front of people and having that kind of pressure on you. Whereas with gaming, it's a very individual thing. It's a very private thing for some people. A lot of people, will do it alone, will game by themselves, and then all of a sudden they get scouted and boom, and then they're in front of everybody. And this article here is about, people who have competed and have had panic attacks before they've gone on, or they're realizing that, this is aggravating their anxiety and they can't perform, and you read this article as well. I've been talking too much. Tell me what you think. I'll shut up.
It's about one particular person that had a panic attack.
Yes.
And it's just using him as an example.
Oh, right.
But like it's tough because for one thing, this is less of a situation of people playing video games for themselves and then getting found. This is people that are going with full intentions of being pro players. And they practice every day being pro. They're just waiting. They want to play in front of millions of people. That's the whole idea. But they're still too young. Honestly, it ultimately comes down to they're too young generally, right?
Or inexperienced in that way.
Inexperienced socially, period.
Yes.
Because it's a lot of teenagers. It's people who aren't even adults a lot of the time. Yeah. Like Lissy mentioned, like basketball, for instance. In basketball, you at least now, after I think after Kobe, you at least have to play, I think, 1 year of college before you can go to the pros.
Mm-hmm. He went right out of high school, I believe.
But yes, he did go right out of high school. But at least in that, even coming right out of high school sports is super high pressure anyway, so you've already dealt with some of that and probably learned to adjust to that to some degree. I mean, it's not quite like being on like the world scene or the whole national scene, but to some people it is.
And it is an adjustment.
It is an adjustment. And there's no ramp up for this. If you're that good at a game and you're winning tournaments, you're probably winning tournaments remotely by yourself for a long time. And then just like, you're still nervous about being watched, you're on Twitch, whatever, there's still a lot of people, a lot of eyes on you, but then you get to like the top and then they just throw you into a stadium. And it's the first time you're playing in front of like bleachers and people just like everywhere. And it's crazy. It's a different,
horrifying.
Totally different idea.
Yeah.
I mean, like I remember, one recent example I remember was I saw an interview with Ninja, who he had gone, I think it was the E3 tournament. It was some tournament or some place he went to and played in front of a whole lot of people live, right?
Yeah.
And he like it noticed and clicked when people like you'd hear people gasp and like go whoa all at the same time.
Yeah.
You're doing something in a game and then
it could take you out of it.
You get like a really good weapon and everyone goes yeah, and then it's just like whoa, like, where the hell am I?
Snaps you out of your bubble.
Yeah, that's a completely different situation, and I could see for some people it would be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
And this article is super interesting because it's talking about how players then get judged harshly for their mental toughness.
Yes.
Right? Like if there was a South Korean player who took himself out of a League of Legends game because
he benched himself.
He benched himself because he was not playing well and he had to bench himself, and then he went back later and his team didn't do as well, and I think they were like defending champions, so were expected to contend, and didn't do well, and everyone blamed it on him.
Yeah. And
it's like it's interesting. It's different than other sports. I mean, primarily because it's far less physical. It's all mental. Yeah. It's entirely mental. So you think about like when your brain is at its sharpest and quickest. It's probably like your late teens, early 20s. Right.
They said when you hit your mid 20s, you're already considered out of the game. You're already
I mean, well, and cognitively, you are on a very slow, you at least plateau by then.
Slow
and a very slow decline. But you're no longer
your
at
reaction
your mental
time,
peak.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about like StarCraft players who do a crazy amount of commands per second.
Right.
That can make a difference.
For sure, yeah.
Because you're playing against somebody else who's faster. So it's almost cruel in the way that you're going to be at your best. I mean, I can tell now, I used to play games all the time when I was younger, and I was like best of my block, best of all my friends.
Yeah.
And you get slower.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing you do, and I can't even tell you why, what it feels like. I just know that like, wow, I'm like not quite as twitchy quick as I used to be with these games, and it's harder to get in that zone now.
Well,
I also don't play all day every day.
Sure.
Which probably has a lot to do with it.
Studying.
I'm not studying.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, though, because since esports are becoming so popular and there's college curriculum, just like any other sport, about training to be good at it, there's scouts. The good news is that people seem to be recognizing this and like zeroing in on it. So there's teams, like that get together, and they have managers, and they have people like you'd have physical therapists for for a basketball player,
sure.
but you do have people that are making therapy and mental health services available to you, to all their players, because they need all of them to be okay,
right?
Mentally, and that's probably the most important thing.
Here's the thing, though, is that the solution to this? To just having a mental health professional available for these players, or should we make them like any other athlete, like cut their teeth and kind of they have to be of a certain age or have to go through a certain curriculum or something in order to get there? Should there be like more of a gatekeeper there than there is in place? But if you look at somebody like the Jacksonville shooter, he's somebody who had a revolving door of mental health professionals his entire life. He was having the help. Although I do think his parents were arguing about his treatment. I do think that had something to do with it. It seemed like a
very individual situation.
Yeah. Oh, of course. But is it up to the esports people to say, look, your mental health isn't good, or is where we would like it? We don't think you're mentally healthy enough to handle this. Do you make that determination? How do you make that determination?
I don't think so.
How does it get solved?
No,
What's
I think
solution?
Well, there's the problem is innately with what it is. It's back to what I was saying, where you're at your best, your late teens, early 20s.
Right.
So you can't ask people to wait till they get older. You're not as good.
Yeah.
And like you're not. That's true. That's the hardest thing about that. So you got to
act fast.
You got to get in there fast.
18 to 24 window.
If you happen to be better than everybody, it doesn't really kind of matter what age you are. You're better than everybody at that age, and that's a very different thing again with traditional sports, where you're often, if you're extremely talented high school player, you're not physically developed enough to compete on a level of like 25-year-olds who are all much larger and faster than you because they've been physically training for years to reach their physical peak, even if they were mentally there.
Sure.
Games do not have that barrier to entry.
No.
So you could be, when you're mentally there, you're done. That's it. That's all you need. And you're pretty young when that happens. I do think that some of it will probably fix itself, because as esports gets more popular, as a league or in different games starts emerging as like the top one, like the NHL, basically, that there's going to be an AHL, there's going to be a minor league, and there's going to be little other ones that are going to pop up that are like farm leagues, and they're going to... People are going to get involved with them and work up that ladder and win that one. They'll work up this other ladder, and there's going to be a little bit more of a slower, even if the kids are still younger, and or maybe just young adults. I mean, I say this though, but I mean, at the same time, when I talk about getting slower, like Ninja's what, 27?
Right.
So
I feel like there's outliers everywhere.
Yeah, he's still right there with the very best players out there.
And if you stay sharp, you stay sharp.
Yeah.
It can be done. It's not to say that there's like a cutoff and you're done.
We're going to find out. This is very interesting. This is just starting.
Yeah,
in the next 10, 20 years.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I think the more people get involved in it, the more data we'll have. We'll have a bigger sample size. We'll get to see how different people react, like who has anxiety here, how old are they, how does this work, how did they come up, but everybody's different. It depends. There's like, you're going to have to rely a lot in this case on self-reporting. It's not like a sports injury where you see somebody tore their ACL and that's it. You have to rely on yourself and be able to say to yourself, I'm like that guy that benched himself. But then the downside to that is that your fans will hate you. And they'll come up and be like, what do you mean you can't play?
That's true with any sport, and when you're the top of anything, fans are overly critical.
That's true.
There's just really no way around that. That's just the culture, and that's not specific to esports.
I know.
And I also just want to say that don't want to lump in the Jacksonville shooter with that, because that guy had a lot more things going on.
That's true.
And I don't know if we can say that, like, well, the pressure of the Madden tournament is why he did that.
Did it. Oh, of course.
I really don't know.
No. Yeah.
I think, like, as we talk about this particular subject, we're talking more about, like, this Justin McGrath right here. He said he had a panic attack because he was in a Smash Brothers tournament, and supposed he was the favorite to win, and he lost right before the last round and got into third place and had his first panic attack on stage in front of everybody when that happened. And he learned a lot about himself, and he was saying that later on he's on a medication that says helping tremendously.
Right.
So that's great. He may be just somebody who just figures it out, gets himself together, and goes forward.
Of course.
But kind of what we're talking about is, like, that's probably going to happen. Hopefully in the future that'll happen on smaller and smaller stages on like like a step up, because he's at an age where you do begin to discover things like that about yourself. Like anxiety disorders can be like latent until you're mid-20s, right?
Yeah.
And like, so you might not they might not come up at all.
Even some other disorders like schizophrenia usually doesn't manifest until between 30 and 40 years old.
Yeah, which is interesting in something like this where this is all about mental sharpness.
About yourself.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a very specific and interesting I'm so curious to see the kind of science that comes out of this, because we're going to find out what kind of people are good at what kind of games because of the thought patterns that go into those particular kinds of games.
Yeah, totally.
Like what are all about Twitch, what are all about just like making good slow decisions. It's interesting the kind of...
and it could help us as mental health professionals.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure the daddy could find out from this. It's going to help that tremendously. It's kind of like what sports medicine has done for people who don't play sports.
Oh, totally.
It's going to be the similar kind of thing, although I think we're going to get to a higher level of mental fitness and this kind of thing. You're going to get a lot more data about who's affected by what that could help the rest of the world. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see what you guys think about this and just the whole situation in general, because of course everybody, just all the curmudgeons came out on Twitter like, that gaming, what do you mean esports, a bunch of losers, you know, what do you mean you sit on your couch and play video games?
Yeah, and everybody, it didn't take long for people to point out the irony of saying that for somebody who likes watching sports on TV, like watching baseball or basketball. It's like, what are you doing? You're sitting on your couch watching other people play a game. Come on.
I know. It's like, okay. All right. Yeah, it's like you said, old man yells at cloud.
Yeah, old man yells at cloud.
Yeah, you said, it's
the only way to put it, guys. That generationally, that'll take care of itself. I'm not worried about that noise. It doesn't matter.
Yuck. Okay, bear with me. Don't leave. Don't go. I thought this was crazy, right? So STDs are at an all-time high right now, but sexual activity is at an all-time low. Not an all-time low, it is decreasing.
It's decreasing.
So it's getting risky. Yeah, it's getting riskier. What the heck?
Yeah, that is odd. Like,
rates of gonorrhea, 67%. Syphilis by 76%, and chlamydia by 21%. To almost 2.3 million cases
we should be like, how?
I know. Do you believe it? But they say STD rates, you'd think, would go hand in hand with increased sexual activity. But a flurry of recent research indicates American adults are having less sex on average than they have in decades. Is that not wild? They're trying to figure it out. What it is that's going on. They're saying condom use is on the decline. So maybe it's meaning that people are in longer relationships. They're being in more committed relationships. They're feeling that they don't need to use protection anymore.
I bet a lot more people are on birth control. And that they don't think they need to use them then.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
Perhaps. You know? Yeah, well, I know a lot of people use the, oh my gosh, like birth control is like, right, ladies? It's crazy. It's like, how many choices you want? If you decide to go on it, you have so many choices. Yeah. But a lot of them don't protect against STDs, you know, that are transmitted through bodily fluid. Can I say that? Demonetized! But I know, but isn't that wild?
Yeah, does it have anything to do, you think, with the fact that like medicine is better?
Well,
so that like you'd be like, oh, if I get this, I'll just take a pill and it's gone.
Maybe. Well,
because I mean, we're generations past the time when these were deadly.
Well, here's the thing. They think there's a link between opioid use. And the STDs.
And that's on the rise.
They said 15 to 24-year-olds who reported injected drug use in the past year were more likely to be diagnosed with chlamydia, syphilis, and gonorrhea.
Okay.
Those three, chlamydia, syphilis, and gonorrhea, are the ones that are on their way up.
Okay.
So, we are in
an impaired judgment then.
Right. Right. And we are in an opioid epidemic.
Yes,
right
currently,
now.
right now. It's not becoming an epidemic, it's just a straight up epidemic.
Yeah. So being that those are going, that
kind of makes a little bit more sense then.
Whatever,
I can see that. It's still odd, but that seems reasonable. It seems plausible.
Right.
That there'd be a correlation there.
I don't know. I'm wondering. I want more information on this, but I saw that. I was like floored by that. I went like, what? I know. So I just wanted to
wrap it up, folks.
Wrap it up.
That's it.
No glove, no love. Oh my God. Wait, there's another one though, isn't it?
No glove, no. I never even heard that one before.
You never heard that?
No, I never heard that.
No way. No glove, no love.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another one. Wrap it up. There's another one.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's like a click it or ticket like equivalent, there's like there's an equivalent there. I forget what it is, like something that was on a PSA on like afternoon or something like that.
And your ticket is chlamydia. I know, right?
Click it or chlamydia. All right, guys. So, all right. I want to talk about Louis C.K. for a second. Mm-hmm. We've been kind of we talked recently about Chris Hardwick.
Yeah.
And boy, did we get in some interesting discussions in the comment section for that one. But no, I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. There were interesting discussions.
Yeah.
We really did. And they were from all different sides and a lot of different takes on it. Mm-hmm. And had some good debates in there with you guys, which was great.
Yeah. It's good. It's always good.
It's I want to just reiterate real quick that stuff is welcome.
Yes.
Because let's get into it. Let's talk about this stuff, As long as you're not being insulting, it's cool. Let's talk about having different viewpoints on it. Mm-hmm. Now, the Louis C.K. thing is an interesting subject right now. If you guys are not familiar, I know most of you are familiar with Louis C.K. having been basically Me Too'd, as we'll put it these days. And he had taken advantage of his position of power to, I'm not going to get into detail, but it was it amounted to sexual assault. It was nothing violent, but it was definitely invasive and way more than inappropriate.
Yeah.
It happened a long time ago. The idea is that he never got punished for it, right?
Right.
And then so when people found out about it, he was just ostracized. He lost his show.
Yeah.
Louis. Freaking, I love that show too. It was a shame.
Our cat Louis is named.
Our cat Louis is named after Louis C.K.
Louis C.K.
Louis C.K. We have been big fans.
I know.
So we this one hit us pretty hard. We heard about this.
It was one of those where we were like, oh.
Yeah, got us right here.
Yeah.
So what happened was it was about 9 months ago that revelation happened, and he just got he just disappeared, faded
into the background.
Yeah, nobody wanted to talk about Louis. No one wanted to give him a platform to say anything at all. It's just go away and stew on this.
He's canceled.
Louis canceled.
Yeah.
So he comes back out very quietly, does a show at the comedy cellar, right?
Yeah, in New York.
In New York, legendary, small, tiny little comedy club.
For those of you who don't know about the Comedy Cellar, it's in New York, and there's a lot of comedians who live in and around New York, and they use the Comedy Cellar particularly to try out new material. And they'll go and do 15 minutes, just kind of test the waters with an audience, see what gets laughs, see what doesn't, before they put together their big show and go on tour. So the club itself is noted for just testing out material.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of big names use it and have come up through it.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of a home to somebody like Louis C.K., right? Someplace very comfortable and
he's a New Yorker anyway.
He's a New Yorker anyway. He's in his hometown, the whole bit. So he goes in and does a 15-minute set, something like that. I think he ended up doing. Did he do two sets? Was that what it was?
Oh, it just came out that he had done a similar set in Long Island earlier on, but he didn't touch about.
He didn't talk about anything.
The assault allegations or anything like that. He talked about what they said, tipping and parades.
Yeah, he just did a set.
Yeah, he just did a set.
Right. And a lot of people really, really took issue with this right away. Thought you can't just come waltzing back in and not talk about it, not address it, not do anything.
Yeah, don't talk to a reporter.
Pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, don't say anything.
And there was a mix of reaction on social media. There's some comedians that were supportive of him making another go at it. At least not supportive of him not addressing it, but supportive of him just doing a set and feeling normal. And a lot of people basically say, like, no, he doesn't get to do that. He doesn't get to feel normal. And I am so conflicted about this one.
I am as well.
I'm so conflicted about this one. So let's share where we're coming from with this. I think one of my let's just invite the hate in the comments.
Let's just think about it.
Yeah, let's
no, but
this.
It helps us a lot. I don't know about you, but like when we do this kind of thing and we talk about these kind of issues, it helps me to talk it out. And sometimes, a lot of the time, I don't settle on anything.
Yeah.
You know, I just need to kind of go like, okay, there's this argument, there's this argument. Yeah, I have not settled, and we haven't talked about this.
No.
So I want to see where you are. And then we'll go from there.
See, what he did was that if you want to know the details of what he did, we'll put a link in the description if you want to go read about it. We're not going to talk about it here. It's a little too graphic. But what he did was definitely inappropriate. It's definitely abuse of power. And there's no excuse for it.
No.
100% not.
No.
He never got punished for it. Okay, he like it was illegal. He never was fined. Never did any time. Never had to plead guilty to anything or not guilty. Never had to have a trial.
There was a time where, if I'm correct, that he reached out to these women.
Well, that's why. Yeah, that's what.
Okay, I know what you were going to bring up. Okay, I'm sorry.
So the reason why, and a lot of things that have been coming out, a lot of people, terrible things they did, needed to be called out, right? And this, I agree, needed to be called out. And it's. The thing about this one that makes it feel a little bit different, and has nothing to do with fandom here, what makes this feel a little different is that it happened a long time ago, like, I don't know, about almost like 15 years ago, at least, I think.
Okay.
Around that window of time, for a certain amount of time, and it happened. And then,
was he in like a bad place or something?
I have no idea if he's in a bad place, but just strictly by timeline here. A bunch of time went by, and he realized that he did something terrible years ago.
Oh.
And this is according to him, okay? And this came out. This was 9 months ago when this first happened. He was one of the people that stood up and said, like, "Oh yeah, I did it."
Yeah, when
he
admitted it.
Like when it was a sea of
it.
other people that were saying, like, "I never did this," blah blah. And he stood up and said, "Yes, this definitely did happen."
Yeah,
because it was in response to an article somebody wrote,
deal.
and he said it was totally correct. Everything she said happened exactly the way that it happened. I did it. And it was terrible. And he was talking about how he had previous, I think early 2010s, if I remember correctly, had come to this realization that what he had done was bad. And he had actually, according to himself, and I think people corroborated this as well, had reached out to the people he did this to apologize. Because it's very difficult for a lot of women comedians, right, to be taken seriously.
It is.
They have to go through
They have to go
through a lot more to get to where they can get, and a lot of times it's dealing with a lot of harassment on the way up. So. And a lot of these, if anybody calls out the harassment, they get labeled as difficult to work with.
Yeah.
So they stop getting work, and that's it. So nobody wants to say anything. So
sucks.
It's a very difficult situation. And he is saying that he realizes that, and he did reach out to those people and to apologize, and believed he had reconciled with this and moved on as a changed and better person, right? Then years later, people find out that it happened. Somebody writes about it, and they find out that it happened, and he has to stand up and say, yeah, I did it. And I talked about it. I talked over to them. I'm a changed man. But what I did was terrible, and there's no excuse for it. And he still, rightly so, it's what everybody found out about it. He still had to basically be like, okay, man, you're in freaking timeout at the very least.
You're canceled.
Go over there, sit in the corner, and think about what you've done. Wear the dunce hat,
Right.
The whole bit. So people are now saying that he's coming back too soon, too easily, without having to address it. My fear, ultimately, I do think he has to address it. I do think he has to spend some time talking about it. I think it's important for somebody at his stature to do that. He's actually in a position to make a difference in this genre, in comedy. At this point, knowing what he knows and being the kind of person he has been, dealing with this whole thing, and with the platform that he has had and the success he has had, and he's revered among comedians, as being brilliant.
Yeah.
So for him to stand up and have something to say about this could potentially make a change about this. But what I'm afraid of ultimately is that we are not really punishing the same person anymore. Like if he's done this thing, he did a terrible thing. He seems to have realized he did it. He tried to reconcile it. He reached out to the people he did it to, and it was a long time. Didn't like make a public thing about it. Of course, I'm sure he didn't want to. But at least felt like nobody. But what I mean about that is nobody forced him to come out to these people. Nobody found him and said like, "No, you need to go to apologize."
Yeah.
On his own volition, he went out and realized that he had to apologize to these people.
Right.
You know, he came to that conclusion himself, which feels more genuine to me. This isn't a PR stunt. You know,
where
and
they
like
have to come out and say, "I'm sorry."
Yeah, I am not a fan of like the forced apology thing. And was like, you need to go apologize. It's like that doesn't mean anything. Like that's
no.
So whenever anybody, I always think that's the silliest thing in the world. Like he needs to apologize. It's like if he does, it's because you told him to.
Yeah, it takes the meaning out of the words.
Yeah, completely.
The words don't mean anything.
But this is the person that seems to have genuinely apologized before anybody ever told him he had to do it.
Well,
and which makes me think that now he is paying a price for something he did.
Right.
You know, but are we teaching him a lesson anymore?
Well, I feel like since this whole Me Too thing happened, and there have been so many at this point, none of these men have resurfaced. Mm-hmm. And now we're at a point where we've got to start thinking about, should that happen?
Yes, this is now uncharted territory.
Is that allowed to happen?
Yeah,
and I think just nobody knows what to do. And he probably thought, I'm going to be the one to go out there.
Yeah.
And see what's going on. And I was reading about this a little bit earlier this week. I was kind of popping in and out of articles. And they were saying like Matt Lauer, who is accused, showing up a little bit out in the Hamptons, just out and about, and they're like,
somewhere.
There's
like
Matt Lauer walking around. So like, should they be, quarantined to their mansion? And yes, you could. There's some people who say, oh, they've got money to live on for the rest of their lives. Should they have all of the meaning sucked out of their lives? Should they not be allowed? Should they have a road to redemption? Can they right their wrong somehow? But then somehow, say they get involved in like a domestic violence or sexual abuse charity or something. To me, that feels disingenuous. Mm-hmm. That feels like PR to me. Mm-hmm. But I feel like maybe, in an interview, an article, a discussion, I don't know. But because it's uncharted territory, I don't know. I wish I could tell you that I had a side here, but I feel like it's also case specific. Like you have somebody, I hate to bring him up again, but Bill Cosby, who did this for decades. And I'm like, F that guy. Yeah. He should not have a career.
And he also, every one of these is different. What Bill Cosby did, I think, is objectively worse.
Oh, of course.
Of
course.
And like, not to downplay what Louis C.K. did.
It's all horrible.
Yeah.
But what he did was
there are levels
horrific.
To this. There's nuance here.
Right. And then, you hear about, and I would be like, and I hate to bring this up, but Asia, I think her last name is Argento, I hope I say that right, who was spearheading this Me Too movement with Harvey Weinstein, she was Me Too'd. Recently.
Yeah.
So it is so rampant. And I was wondering if any women were going to come out.
Yeah.
And it does happen. It really does. And so many people will say that like, oh, women can't, it's like they can. They can't. It isn't as prevalent as men. They can abuse their power as well.
With the best of
absolutely,
them,
absolutely. But then, like, what happens to them? What do you guys think should happen? Like somebody like Kevin Spacey. Like, are we going to see him again? Is he allowed to come out? Because I kind of feel like you do the crime, you do the time, right? Should they go to jail? Are they and then somebody brought up, it is kind of apples and oranges, but I saw on Twitter somebody said it took almost 20 years for Winona Ryder to come out of celebrity shoplifting jail.
Yeah.
Because she shoplifted some stuff. And
boy,
then she was unhinged and mentally ill and deranged. And, and now she's on Stranger Things and everything is fine. And she was fine. She was going through a rough patch, which happens. And with Louis, it seemed like he was going through a rough patch. Hers was a victimless crime.
Yeah.
Still a crime, but his was a crime with a victim.
Yes.
So do these people, so do these people need to go to jail? Should they have a pathway for redemption to be able to work? Should they be allowed to work anymore? Like, what can they do to make this better, if at all? I don't know where to go from here.
because these are such individual situations, right?
Yeah.
It's so, you could say Me Too, but you can't really cast a blanket on them all. They're all very different. Individual situations, they need to still be treated like individual situations.
Sure.
I think ultimately what's happened here is the standard has changed.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's all these things happening. A standard used to be around here, so these things you could get away with. So the standards moved up here. So now you can't really get away with these things anymore, but they're still all different things,
right?
With different consequences, with different situations, and like different causes, you know. And I think as soon as you start to think that, like, as soon as it becomes charted territory for how you come back, that's when it instantly becomes disingenuous, because then it's a PR tour. Well, then it's somebody going like, oh, well, you just have to do this interview with this guy, you have to put out this blog, you have to donate this much money to this thing, and the public will forgive you, and you can go back and do your work. And then who the hell, I mean, like, what was solved?
I know. Well, you know what's interesting? I did see that being shopped around was, I forget who was pitching it, but there was a show being shopped around. I know they were looking at HBO and Netflix to have some of the men who were Me Too'd sit down for an interview and talk about what their life has been like, what it's been like for their family, and how it's affected them. Talk to the victims. And, you know, all because the one of the women who accused Louis wrote an article. I haven't read it yet. I really do want to read it to say what life has been like for her, because some of these women, when they come forward, it kills their professional careers.
Yeah.
You know, there really is a stigma now that if you speak up and say that I was harassed at work or whatever, that you won't get hired. People are scared of you. You're difficult.
You're difficult
Not
to work
just
with.
difficult, but people are like, whoa, like she's going to accuse one of us. Let me get, you know, hands off. But they were shopping that around to see just what it's like, and nobody would buy it. They said that I guess they thought the public wasn't ready for it, or they thought that, you know, people would say a boycott HBO. They're giving a voice to these, you know, these people or whatever that should have these dead careers. Do you think it is too much or too far for any of these men, no matter what they have done, to never work again?
See, it kind of depends on what you mean by work. I think
work in their own business.
Well,
like, he would do no stand-up, no nothing.
The thing is that they can become part of a solution. They can, and we can't rob them of that opportunity. You can't rob everybody else of that opportunity. I mean, the people who have done these things. It's Louis C.K. I hope he's as smart as I think he is.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like he can take this and be
hard.
like and turn it into making a positive impact in the industry,
right?
At least his industry. I mean, you know, there's the culture goes way further than comedy, you know, but it's specifically in comedy, and where it is a major issue. He is in a position to make a difference, and I know everyone's going to be like, it's. I feel like, because I'll equate this, he's coming up again. I'll use Ninja to equate this. Everybody thought that he was in a position to make a difference with like streaming with women streamers, but he wasn't like guilty of anything. Right. Except saying, like, you know, this is Louis C.K. where I feel like maybe he does have an obligation to try to make it. Maybe that's his punishment. Maybe that's his time to be like, now that this has happened, now that you've done this, you've had all the success. Now it's your obligation to take that success, take the platform that you've made, to reconcile or to reconcile with the people you hurt, to make up for what you've done by changing the atmosphere, right? By playing a part in changing the culture of your genre that you are, like many people think you are the top of, you are the pinnacle of, right? So it's. Oh man,
that's I like that solution, but how that is done,
I don't know. That's why I'm saying I hope he's as smart as I think he is, because maybe
he'll figure it out.
He knows how. Maybe he knows how he can do it. Right. Maybe he has, because if he has genuinely reconciled with his past like this, and has genuinely become a different and changed person, and has worked to be a better person, maybe being a father has something to do with that.
Yeah, he's got girls.
Yeah, he's got girls. So maybe that has changed something in him that he will be able to. He knows what he has to do. Maybe he knows how to approach this. Maybe he can come to a place of experience on the wrong side, right? To use that to help communicate. You know, it's possible. There could still be a good outcome here, but I don't know. As far as a specific thing about outrage over him coming and doing a couple of sets at the Comedy Cellar, I don't know how to. I don't know how to feel
I feel
about
like I don't feel like he was going out to make a statement or anything.
I didn't feel like this was him coming back yet.
No,
everyone was
me neither.
like, "You can't just come back."
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think he came back yet.
I don't think that was a attempted comeback. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see this attempted comeback.
Yeah, that's why I was making a point to, and then we'll move on. That's why I was trying to make a point about the Comedy Cellar, that people just go to try things out to get their feet wet.
Yes.
This wasn't like, you're over in Madison Square Garden doing a big set. He surprised the people that were there. The owner of the Comedy Cellar wasn't even there. He didn't even know he was going to show up. So it was just like one of those things.
Yeah, I will say personally, I think I can comfortably say that I don't feel like he can do like a TV show or a movie or a giant special without saying anything.
Oh, of course. Oh,
I think he's got to address the elephant in the room before he can go on to anything like that, potentially.
Yeah.
But I just don't see this as that.
No.
I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so finally, really quick, I just want to touch on this again. Just want to and I saw this again, blew my mind, that air pollution causes a huge reduction in intelligence. They said 95% of the global population is breathing unsafe air, and that high pollution levels, look at this, led to significant drops in test scores in language and arithmetic, with the average impact equivalent to having lost a year of education. Okay, it doesn't say over how long it will take for you to lose a year of education, but obviously the longer that you live in, this kind of environment, the more years you will learn, more years you will lose, and it's worse for people who are over 64. And especially if you have a low education, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I was really surprised. They said it was linked to extremely high mortality in people with mental disorders, and linked it to increased mental illness in children. Found that those living near busy roads has an increased risk of dementia.
This is super interesting
because
because
is that not crazy?
We get so caught up in climate change.
Yeah.
Right? And this is another equally devastating effect.
Right.
If not more so. Well, I can't say if not more so. I think the planet dies. Everybody dies. So it's
then we won't be able to fix it because we will have lost our education.
Yeah, I know. We're not even smart enough to fix it because we're going to get dumber while it's happening. So we're going to go backwards.
I was like, a year in education.
That's like, incredible.
What? I could not believe that.
I wonder. I'm curious to know more about the study.
Yeah.
And what the controls were. I guess I haven't read the abstract, so I don't know for sure.
Right.
Because this is a hell of a statement. This, for me, it's screaming the kind of article that feel like I need to go to the study.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I want to make sure this isn't I don't know, sensationalized at all.
Right.
But I don't know, it's pretty straightforward. You're saying you could potentially lose a year of it. No, on average, a year of education by living in this environment.
Yeah.
So
right.
That's.
Oh my gosh, they're saying
it's hard to sensationalize something that exact.
An impact on your short-term intelligence as well. They said for students who have to take crucial entrance exams on polluted days.
Wow.
And I don't I'll get through my weather app. I'll get high. Bad air days, or the air quality is bad.
Air quality's bad.
Or, because we are near Philadelphia, so we do get kind of that smoggy smell. New York is really bad.
New York, when you're walking through New York, it's...
New York, I feel it on myself all the time. We'll come home, and I'll get one of those face wipes, those Stridex wipes, and I could put it on my arm and go like this, and it's black.
Yeah.
Just it is horrible. It's horrible.
It's crazy.
So,
Love New York, too, but man, it's dirty.
I know.
It's a city. A city is dirty, generally.
Yeah, but, oh my gosh. But another reason to vote. Okay, it's time for the subreddit of the week.
Let's lighten things up a little bit.
Animal text gifs.
Animal text gifs?
Oh my God, you have to see.
Okay.
So it's a gif of an animal. And you put the little text on it as if to what they're saying.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so look. Dog too excited to get his own bed. Look. Okay.
Looks comfy. So soft. Hope it can come up. What is it, human?
Look at that golden. I love the little plume tails. I love goldens. Oh.
I can? Oh my gosh! Oh. Such soft, such comfort, much fluff, not rough. Best heckin' day, gonna sleep all day. Is all right. Ooh, pillow. Gonna brag to our friends. Must sleep. Not now. Too happy now.
That is a happy dog. See? This is
I never saw
awesome.
This one before.
No?
This is great.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. What are you? Maybe if I give it a sniff. Where's your butt? Whoa. Pokey on a snoot. I know. Yikes. What's your deal, Pokeboy? Paw again. Gotta do a lie down. See, you can't get it now. He's still coming. Heck. Ack. What even? No. Oh, he is going. No playtime. Hup.
Hup.
Okay, you are. Nope. Still no idea. Where is your butt, though? Oh, that was it? Seriously? Oh, there it is.
I give up.
Oh,
just a pokey thing.
Wow. Was that a smooch? You some sort of kissy boy? I'm watching you paw again. Wow, this is long. Pokey boy. I love that. Imaginary pokey friend? Listen, we could give you a touch. Oh, pardon me. I don't know that. Yeah, forgot your pokies.
Guess you're real, huh? What the heck?
See, this kind of thing, you know, it makes me so happy when, like, sometimes you're going through Twitter and, like, everything is terrible, and then it's kind of like, I gotta look at animal text gifs, go check things out, see if we could get one more. Dogs only.
This is escapism.
What's the password? That to our squirrels. Correct. Who's he? Him? My who, but... Okay, but you know the rules. The woman he waits out there. I love that. Look at little guy.
That's funny. Okay, guys, so to close things out, we're going to watch a little bit of this CYBERPUNK 2077 gameplay demo everyone's talking about.
Yes.
It's the hot thing on the internet, the gaming world.
But it's forever long.
But it's like 48 minutes long. We haven't watched any of it, honestly, so we're just going to kind of kick it off and see what it looks like and watch a little bit of it.
Through a little bit, and because, I mean, obviously we can't sit here for 48
minutes. Psyched about
this
game. Very psyched about this game because it's from the same developer as The Witcher, CD Projekt Red, and I love The Witcher,
Welcome
but
to the gameplay demo walkthrough of CD Projekt Red's upcoming title, CYBERPUNK 2077. A narrative-driven, open-world RPG set in a dark version of the future. Before we start, a small but important disclaimer. The gameplay you're about to see is from a work-in-progress version of the game. Everything you see is
This sounds like somebody trying to do an American accent, doesn't it?
You think so?
Yeah.
In CYBERPUNK 2077, you can fully customize your character using a deep customization system.
What?
For this demo, we're going to play a female.
Oh my gosh.
Keep in mind that what you see
there goes 10 hours of gameplay for Lissy.
This is going to do a 2-hour stream all about customizing character.
Yep. That you don't even see, you know?
So before we get into our appearance, we need to define our backstory. What
See, I love this stuff.
Different possibilities later in the game.
Oh, wow.
Also, you can use an array of different options to modify how you look. These include body type, hairstyle, tattoos, makeup, skin tone, and many, many more. But visuals aren't everything. You'll also be able to customize your initial attribute setup. You'll notice we didn't pick a class. CYBERPUNK 2077 features a fluid class system, and you'll be able to modify your class throughout the game. This demo
That's cool. That's the right decision.
V and her friend Jackie,
I love that.
a netrunner named Tiba, are hired to find and retrieve a missing person, a girl whose locator implant went dark.
Almost clear. Go.
Oh, see, I love this stuff. The only RPG, like pen and paper RPG, I kind of got into was Shadowrun.
Oh,
so,
Shadowrun, yeah.
That's CYBERPUNK.
Role-playing game. This perspective enables us to maximize your immersion.
It's first person.
T-Bug.
So you work on all that visuals of what your character looks like, and then it's in first person.
Right. Yeah, you don't see that.
It's like Skyrim.
Yes. So much work on my Skyrim character. It's horrible.
And like, Witcher was so good, but the fact that we can get a Witcher quality game in a cyberpunk world is right up my alley.
Oh my god, yeah. This is gonna be really good. When's the release date for this, by the way?
I don't know. Maybe they'll tell us at some point.
Okay, things are about to get heated.
Okay.
What?
We'll take a reflex.
Convenient there just happened to be a
temporarily allows us to use the Koreznikov ability.
It'll be interesting to see how CD Projekt Red handles shooting.
Yeah.
Because The Witcher obviously is not a shooter.
No.
This is Koreznikov.
Oh, it's bullet time.
Muy bien!
Wow, so you're like drugging yourself the whole time too.
Yeah.
He's moving!
I wonder if there's going to be like a consequence to using too many stimulants. Like a toxicity,
Maybe.
you know?
Maybe.
Toxicity level.
There has to be, right?
Well, there is in The Witcher. That has a toxicity for drinking the potion, so
Yeah.
it would make sense.
It totally would, yeah.
And I don't normally like watching this much straight up gameplay.
Right,
of a game
right.
that I know I want to play, but you know this game's gonna be long as hell.
Oh my gosh.
So this isn't gonna matter if this part being spoiled.
That's a good point.
Layout shows only one room left, the bathroom. Go.
It was such racy language, so edgy.
Sure hope our target's in there.
I like Target. Oh. And then naked?
Cabrones.
You're naked? Oh. You are also
Oh.
naked. Oh dear, boobies.
We make it? She alive?
This does not look good.
Uh-oh.
No, in a minute. Jacking into Biomon.
Oh.
Sandra Dorset, NC 570442. Got a winner. Or she will be if we can get her to a hospital. Sheesh. Trauma Team Platinum, too.
Platinum? Shit, TD should have swooped in if she sneezed.
Something's jamming the Biomon signal. Talk to me, T-Bug.
Virus probably.
I'm stressed out.
Get a neural socket. Should be a shard slotted in. Shit's probably on that. If we clear it, free up the signal, TT could actually drop in. Take her off our hands.
Got the shard. Removing it now.
Oh my god, man.
Has been dispatched and is due to arrive at your location in 180 seconds.
Biomon claims trauma will be here in 3 minutes.
Like the fucking cavalry.
Why don't they just say 3 minutes? Why do they have to take 180 seconds? Why are they gonna make things so complicated?
Plan will cover 90%
Oh, okay, you could choose an approach. Wow. This is super interesting.
Mierda, she's flatlining.
Boobies.
V, you need to know when you
Demonetized. Boobies. Do we really
Very
have to have a
demonetized.
boob like in the middle? I feel like they're going like, look, we have boobs in it.
Oh.
She's stable.
Okay.
Fuera, Jaina. Get her outside. I'll cover you.
It turns out a virus disrupted the girl's locator implant. We fixed that, and now help is inbound.
Swarm of the sons of bitches. Two
And they still made sure to put the boobie right in the middle of the screen. Hey gamers, look, there's a boobie.
Hey, gamers.
We got boobies in here for you.
You ever seen a movie?
Wow. Yeah, you ever seen a boobie? Hey kid, you ever seen a boobie? Oh my god, it's like Fifth Element.
This is so cool. Yeah, it is kind of like Fifth Element. This is so cool.
Why are they
I
pointing
wanna play
guns
this
at
game
us?
So bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, why are they pointing guns?
Do you see the boobies?
Okay.
I said step back.
We are.
3 to control. Patient NC 570442 secured. Stimulants being
Wow, how crazy is that? Like, in the future, how quickly, like, an ambulance is to be. This is it?
Yeah.
Hey,
3
Give
minutes.
us a lift out of here.
Although it's like military, right? It almost
I guess
seems
so.
like.
Yeah.
Unless it's like military police.
Yeah.
When
Oh,
it's ready.
ha!
Okay.
All
there you
right.
go. Okay, coming when it's ready. So we're gonna stop there, guys.
Wow.
I've seen enough to know that I want to watch the rest of this. So we'll probably
sure.
watch that on our own. And if you guys want to watch the rest of it, links in the description to the video. I'm just super psyched for this game. I know a lot of people are. It's got so much hype.
I'm excited for this game from this dev.
Yes, exactly.
You
That's
know,
why it's
like
got so
this
much hype.
combination.
This is
amazing.
has benefit of the doubt all over it.
Yeah,
so like,
yeah.
It's CD Projekt Red. It's going to be amazing. So, and just the fact that they could take their Witcher approach, put it in a cyberpunk atmosphere, which is one of my favorite settings for
Pretty good.
just, you know, stories in general, for movies, for, you know, I love it. I love the atmosphere of it. I'm a big fan. So I can't wait to dive into what they're going to do with it. It's like, it looks like the Shadowrun game I always would have wanted.
Right.
You know, basically.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
even though I have to say Shadowrun Returns, if you guys haven't played it by Harebrained Schemes, a turn-based strategy game, it's freaking awesome if you like that kind of stuff. But
Yes.
either way, this is like it seems like it's the meeting of the potential, I think, of the world, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
So,
totally, yeah.
man, the hopes are through the roof for this game. If it's not completely freaking incredible, it's going to be considered a failure. So it's got like all this pressure on it, but I don't know. I trust this dev to do it right. Yeah. So we'll have to see how it comes out. Okay, guys, so that was this week's episode of BS on the Internet.
It was a thick boy.
It was a thick boy.
Oh my
This is one of the longest ones we've done, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
If you want to read more about anything that we talked about, links are in the description.
As always.
And if you like this video, please support us on Patreon. Click like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, bye.
Bye.